Hey guys, Stefan Fischer here from All Off Road. I hope you guys are well. Up front, GME is sponsoring this video and sent me the MT620GR to test. But as always, I tell you what I actually think. Today I'm comparing the MT620GR with the MT610G. Both are personal locator beacons, also called in short PLB. I'll go through the features, what's actually different between the two, the pros and cons, and which one I'd recommend for which situation. And I explain why my Garmin InReach Mini and the iPhone 17 Plus with satellite SOS are useful tools, but not a replacement for a PLB. So let's get into it. If you follow the channel, you know I've been carrying GME PLBs for over a decade. As a matter of fact, this is the first one I ever had. It must be now over 20 years old because it expired in February 2014. This is still my first GME PLB, and you can see expiry date was 2014, so 10 years ago. So I must have them really for even much longer. Let's see whether it still passes a self-test. It incredibly still passes a self-test. Over 10 years after the expiry. That is crazy. That is crazy. I mean, I wouldn't rely on it. After the MT410G, then came the MT610G and last year the MT620GR. And yeah, I never had to activate any of them in a real emergency. However, I do have friends who had to. But the peace of mind I have these as a fallback is worth its weight in gold, especially in remote areas. Deep gorges, tight gullies, heavy scrub. In these environments, every device struggles. Your phone, your satellite messenger and your PLB all need some view of the sky. The difference is what happens when that view is marginal. A PLB transmits at 5 watts on a frequency dedicated to search and rescue, monitored by a multi-government satellite network. A satellite messenger or a phone SOS is running around 1.6 watts on a commercial network. When the conditions are difficult and you are only getting partial signal out, that power difference and the network of the PLB can give you a much better chance. So in general, if you can safely move to more open ground before you activate, do it. Antenna up and away from the vehicle if you are vehicle based. Feature-wise, these two are very similar physically. Same weight at 160 gram, same form factor, same IP68 waterproofing. But look at the front face and you can tell them apart. The MT610 says GPS, the MT620GR says GNSS. There's an NFC symbol and there's an additional LED which is the blue RLS indicator. The rest of the difference is on the inside. The MT610 is GPS only. The MT620GR adds Galileo to give it multi-GNSS, and that matters for more than just positioning. On top of that, it adds return link service, or RLS, NFC connectivity via the AccuSat Connect app, test history, logging, and an audible buzzer on activation. Everything else is unchanged. Same 7-year battery, same 6-year warranty, same 2-step activation, and both are made in Sydney by GME, who have been manufacturing emergency beacons since 1979. That's actually before I even was in Australia. Let me go through what those features actually mean. The Galileo edition does two things. First, it gets a position fix faster, around 30 seconds versus 45 to 60 on the MT610G. In heavy canopy or deep gully where GPS satellite may be partially blocked, having Galileo to fall back on can help. And position accuracy improves from around 100 meters down to 45 meters. These may make a difference when a helicopter is searching for you, especially in difficult terrain. Second, and this is the reason Galileo is required, RLS. Return Link Service runs exclusively through the Galileo network. When you activate the beacon, your distress signal goes out on 406 MHz, and within 10 to 20 minutes, if a rescue coordination center has received your alert, a dedicated blue LED on this unit starts flashing. That's separate from the white strobe. It's specifically there to tell you that help is coming. With the MT610 and most other PLBs, You press a button and wait. There is no feedback at all whether your signal was received. Studies have shown that seriously injured people who know help is on the way survive longer. They stay calmer, they hold on. That blue LED is not just a technical feature. Especially if you are alone and injured and waiting, it can make a real difference how long you're surviving. One important thing to understand though, if the blue LED doesn't flash, that does not mean your distress signal hasn't gone through. The return link needs its own line of sight to reach the beacon. In a gorge or under heavy cover, the confirmation may not get back to you, even if your alert has already been received and acted upon. If it doesn't flash after 15 to 20 minutes, move on to more open ground if you can. RLS is an extra safety layer. Your beacon is transmitting either way. The MT620GR also has an audible buzzer that sounds when the beacon is activated. So you know it's transmitting without having to look at it. The NFC app, tap the beacon to your phone like a tap and pay, and the AccuSat Connect app gives you battery status, lets you run a self-test and logs every test with date and result. Previously, you test, it beeps, you move on with no record. I think that test log is worth it because it saves you from having a manual log when you tested last, because you also don't want to over-test. There are actually two different self-tests and it's worth knowing the difference. The main self-test checks the circuitry, battery, health and both transmitters, the 406 MHz and the 121.5 homing signal, without sending anything to the satellite. That one you can run monthly or before a major trip. The GNSS test is different. It actually fires up the GPS receiver and acquires satellite. That is the most power-hungry thing the beacon can do. Run it once or twice a year at the most. If you are running a GPS test every month, you are eating into your 7-year battery and potentially leaving yourself short of the 24 hours of continuous transmission the beacon is rated for. Let's discuss the use case. The price difference is around $140 to $190 AU, depending on where you buy. The MT620GR is $569 RRP and the MT610G has been sitting around $379 to $430, again depending on where you look at. I have the benefit to test these PLBs and get them nowadays often for testing and review purposes, so I own 4 PLBs. One in each car, it lives in the glove box and never really moves. And then one in the main hiking pack and one in the smaller day pack. I don't like to swap them between locations because it's too easy to forget. Each one has its own dedicated spot. The car one is there for anyone in the vehicle, and my kids and both know exactly where the PLB is and how to activate it. That's just as important as having one. At 160 grams, it fits in any pack side pocket and you can activate it with only one hand. Pull the antenna, push the button. In a real emergency, one hand might be all you have. My recommendations: if you have a working MT610G or another good PLB within its battery life and you often travel in groups, I wouldn't rush out to replace it. It's still a capable beacon. However, if you do a lot of remote solo travel, I'd definitely consider upgrading to the MT620GR. That RLS confirmation matters a lot more when there's no one else around. The RLS, the app, the buzzer, and spread over 7 years, the price difference is minimal. As the only Australian PLB manufacturer still operating, this is also the only RLS beacon made here in Australia. US manufacturers make RLS beacons too, but if supporting an Australian company matters to you, this one is the one to get. One improvement I'd still like to see. One other PLB already includes an infrared strobe alongside the visible one. IR is invisible to the naked eye, but shows up clearly through night vision, which SAR teams and rescue helicopters use. GME doesn't have it yet. I hope they add it on the next model. Quick one from me. If you do any remote or desert touring in Australia, check out my Simpson Desert Travel Guide. Over 260 pages and 2 years in the making. Packed with detailed maps, locations and everything you need to know about crossing the Simpson. But the knowledge goes well beyond that. Most of the content applies directly to any remote outback travel, whether that's the Canning Stock route, the Gun Barrel, the Len Bedell highways, or anywhere else the bitumen ends. It's $59.95, link in the description, or head to the simpsondesertguide.com.au. On socials, I often see people say, oh, I have a Garmin InReach Mini or I have a phone, that's all I need. However, let me tell you why I think it does not replace a PLB. I carry a Garmin InReach Mini 2 and an iPhone when I'm out walking. Both are excellent devices, but neither replaces a PLB, and I want to explain why. The most important difference is transmission power. A PLB transmits at 5 watts. The InReach and the iPhone satellite SOS are both running around 1.6 watts, or even less. In open country, that may not matter. In a deep gully, under heavy canopy, or in a bad storm, that power difference can be significant. There is no guarantee either way, but when your life is on the line, you want the strongest signal you can send. At least I do. The second thing is the 121.5 MHz homing signal. GPS coordinates get rescuers into your general area. Finding a person in thick bush or under a tree at night with only coordinates is still hard. PLB transmits a secondary homing signal on 121.5 MHz that SAR helicopters and ground teams can direction find directly to your location. The InReach and the iPhone don't have that. Third, the networks. PLBs run on CORS-PAT-SARSAT, which is a multi-government satellite system dedicated to search and rescue. There's no subscription, no account. Your alert goes directly to EMSA. The InReach runs on Iridium, which is a commercial network that requires an active subscription. If your card expires or there's an outage, the SOS doesn't go anywhere. And practically speaking, if you are seriously injured, a PLB is 2 steps. Pull the antenna, push the button. The InReach is also fairly easy to navigate, but the iPhone requires you to navigate a screen and a menu. In real trauma, that can matter, especially if you're on your own. So yeah, I use the InReach when hiking for tracking and messaging. I use the iPhone for everything else, but the PLB is there for the moment when none of that is good enough. If you purchase your first PLB, it is important that you register your PLB with EMSA before you use it. It's free, takes about 10 minutes, and it's how Rescue Coordination Centre Australia identifies you when an alert comes in. The link is in the description. So even if GME weren't sponsoring this video, that's still the PLB I buy. Supporting an Australian manufacturer is a bonus on top. One more thing, EPIRBs. Sometimes you hear people recommend them on socials for land-based travel. But for most of us, a PLB is a better choice. EPIRBs are designed for vessels, for boats. The antenna uses the water surface as a ground plane to project signal towards the satellite. On dry, uneven ground, that efficiency drops. A PLB is built to work on land from the start. Then there's the size. An EPIRB is roughly the size of a 1-liter thermos. You are not carrying that on your person. Get separated from your vehicle and you won't have it. A PLB at 160 grams sits in your pocket and stays with you. EPIRBs are also registered to a vessel through EMSA. Activate one in the outback and Rescue and Coordination Centre Australia initially sees a vessel in distress, which can mean delays sorting out what assets to send. The one argument for an EPIRB is battery life, 48 hours versus 24, but once a 406 MHz signal with a GNSS fix hits the system, help is typically on its way within hours. Twice the battery doesn't justify carrying something that wasn't designed for where you're using it. Let me know in the comments what you carry. And if you're wondering what the difference is between the Garmin InReach and the Zoleo, I made a dedicated video about that. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you along the tracks. Before I let you go, my channel is still mainly self-funded with very few sponsors. So if you would like to help me continue making these videos for you, I would greatly appreciate if you could share, like and subscribe. And if you can afford it, why not shout me a coffee or two via Patreon or buy me a coffee. It would be greatly appreciated. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you along the tracks.